Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Amplify Your Expertise. So on this show, I just bring people who are actually walking what they're talking, and people that are taking their intellectual property and are earning an income in multitudes of different ways. See, the thing that's happening, and it's going to be a huge shift in the next 24 months. I mean, we see that a lot of jobs are going away. We see that most W-2 employees are becoming subcontracted employees. And so even though I'm doing it as a business, Precious also does it as a business. I just want you to understand that these things that we're going to talk about, you're going to need to be able to sell yourself. So, Precious has a hashtag called Booked and Busy, and that is the topic of this show. So Precious, okay, yeah. And before, let me just say one more thing about Precious. So I went to Doreen Rainey was having her last event, and I had never been up until that point. And I was like, okay, well, wait a minute, I don't want to miss it, so I'm going to go. And I didn't go looking to attract clients or anything. I really wanted to just completely enjoy the experience and meet people and this, that, and the other. And so I saw Precious, and she rocked it. And since then, I've seen her do a lot of different things. I've seen her, I saw when she won, I think it was Black Enterprise, one of those organizations. She won.
Yes.
Yeah, she won the pitch contest there. I mean, she launched a lingerie wear. She had did all of these things. And so anywhere I was on the speaker circuit, it was funny because I would see Precious' name. So even if she was there on one day and I was coming in on another, girlfriend was up in the place. And so when I started, knowing that I was ready to get back out there and do stuff, I reached out and connected with Precious because, again, her pitch is just on point. She just rocks the mic. And so Precious, that's why I wanted you here. I just believe in you wholeheartedly. When your ship's passing in the night,
yes,
you see who's really getting the work and who isn't. And so,
yes.
So
very much so.
Thanks for being here.
Well, I appreciate being asked to come, and I wouldn't turn you down. I see what you're doing in these streets, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And we always talk about keeping things professional, but the personal and the professional do mesh together. And I want people to see the authentic me, not the made up Precious that would get on stages. Now I want you to see who I really am. And that has made a difference in everything that I've done.
Yes. And that is one of the reasons why I brought Precious here. One of the episodes before this, you will see where I was on at World's Greatest Speaker Training, and I actually shared how I first started telling the stories of my family. I went there with a prepared speech, was getting ready to do their little speaker where they get to evaluate you and everything. And Bo Eason said something to the effect of, your most vulnerable story is the thing that really needs to be in your speech. And so, Precious, at that point, I wasn't saying nothing about vulnerability. I was like, yo, this is what we doing. We're getting
I'm the bomb.com.
Right, I'm
the HNIC. I'm so bad. Baddest chick ever. You need to rock with it, roll with a sister. I know that game. I played that game.
And it was real because I was doing it. I had screenshots, whatever, but at the same time, I had never told any of those stories. Mm-hmm. And so what I did is right in the room, I tried to start crafting a story, and they called me first. So I was like, well, I was about to fall back to my good old faithful, but I didn't. I just winged it. And I didn't finish, technically, because I didn't wrap it up to why the two stories went together, right? I didn't do that part. But I'm so proud of myself for standing in that moment and taking that risk, not trying to be the best at that in that moment, because I wanted, when you got these great people, Brendan Bouchard, you know, and for people who don't know, Brendan Bouchard is the highest paid trainer in the world. And then you have Bo Eason, who used to be a football player, but then did a one-man show on Broadway, and Roger Love, who is the voice trainer of the Stars, and you know, for shows like Glee and this, that, and the other. So I couldn't be in front of them and not go for it. I couldn't just play it safe. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So enough of my backstory. I want to jump into Precious' backstory and let her tell everybody why she's the pitch master.
All right. So do you want to know my backstory, or do you want to know why I'm the pitch master? Because the backstory will eventually get into the killer pitch master.
Yeah. How about you start with the backstory?
So everyone, I'm from the inner city of St. Louis, Missouri. So I grew up in the hood. My mother, you know, severely abused me as a child. She used to, you know, hit me. She broke my nose. She broke my jaw. And she used to tell me I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I'll never be anything, I'll never have a man. Now, how are you going to tell a 12-year-old that? But we're not going to address that issue. That's a different issue for a different day. And on November 18th, 1991, she almost beat me to death. And so the fact that I'm still standing, that's how you know there is a God. So I went to go stay with my father, who is a severe drug addict. Notice I keep saying severe because this is real. Severe drug addict. So we were homeless. We lived in situations where we had no heat, no hot water, no electricity. And I really just had 15 years of hell and torture. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't think much of my life. I didn't think I was ever going to be anything. And then my grandparents stepped in when I was 15 and asked my father, could they take me in and raise me? Now, when you first hear grandparents, you're like, man, they old. I'm so glad. I'm so glad they took me in, because I lived the Leave It to Beaver lifestyle in the hood. My grandmother twinkled my toes in the morning, had my bath water drawn, my breakfast, my hot breakfast, that bonding time with parents, my grandparents. She drove me to school. I went from being in special education classes to being the valedictorian of my class. I went from being a nobody to the queen of my high school and the battalion commander for the junior ROTC program. I went from wondering what my life was going to be like to having a full scholarship to Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. And when I tell you I was giving my valedictory address, I just remember standing on that stage and my body was really in Atlanta. I had never been to Atlanta. My grandparents had never, you know, we only saw it on Oprah. So that's how I got to Spelman, because I saw it on Oprah with the women of Spelman College. I became a professional speaker at 16 years old. The principal of my high school, Beaumont High School, 3836 Natural Bridge in St. Louis, Missouri, asked me to speak at an event, and turns out it was in front of the mayor of the city of St. Louis, Mayor Freeman Bosley. And he liked me so much, he put me on his educational task force. Now, mind you, St. Louis Public Schools is a poor school district. And they listened to me and said, she moves people when she speaks. And I was like, word? Not only in my 30s did I realize that I do have the gift of speech, and I'm not the logical speaker. Yes. I'm the emotional speaker.
Yes.
So then I went to Spelman College, finished in 4 years, 3.6 GPA, went off to Georgetown University Law Center on a full ride during September 11th. I was there the day that Aaliyah died, August 25th, 2001. September 11th, 2001. I didn't make it through Georgetown because I was definitely dealing with some issues and not being able to fully articulate what I was going through. So they dismissed me on March 15th, 2002. And I was depressed for 5 years about that, because here I am, a Spelmanite. You know, Spelman women are supposed to be the awesome women. They don't make mistakes. And here I am feeling like the run of the litter. I then went to Rutgers School of Law in Newark, New Jersey on a full scholarship, and had a nervous breakdown April 12, 2004. Never thought I'd finish law school until my last semester, when I was a student attorney, and I was the #1 student attorney in the entire school. I went from not taking showers and wearing sweatpants and barely dragging a class to putting on that suit and being like, where did they get a load of me, you know? And so I graduated. I passed the New York State Bar on my first try. I was a successful New York City-based attorney. but it didn't fulfill my soul. And I just felt like this isn't right. And I've never had a job last longer than a year in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I'm 40 now.
Yeah.
I've been an entrepreneur. That's the longest journey I've ever had, right? And so I started a company called Curvy Girls Lingerie, had no money to get it started. So I entered pitch competitions to raise the money to get started. And I won over $150,000 to start my company. I was featured on MSNBC. What?
Hold it.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Hold it. You can't just graze over that and go.
Girl, you told me, I was trying to, you know.
She's telling us some of this stuff as a matter of fact, but we got to break this down. So
we can break it down.
I just got to slow down. So if, first she said, if you don't believe that there is a God, she's still standing. So you guys should be typing that in. Because first and foremost, talking about the childhood and all of those things that she had to overcome. But then on top of it, when you start taking on some of the public versions, like she said, a Spelman girl does no wrong. And so like shame and guilt for me are useless emotions. And I'll tell people that all day long, every day. But like, when you're carrying it, you don't understand that because you feel like it just weighs on you so heavy. So she kind of glazed over that part. So I just needed to re-emphasize that. Then not only did she pick herself back up, like, when we're bringing everything into these little sentences, like it really kind of minimizes all that it is. And so that's the only reason why I need to pause her and emphasize it a little bit. So like she picked herself back up with all of that, got a full ride, then graduated, then passed the bar the first time. Holler at your girl. So
holler at your girl.
Holler at your girl.
Holler at your girl.
Oh, okay. So I had to make sure y'all understood all of that. Now, when she went to go start a company with no money, she entered pitch competitions and won over 150 grand. Type that in. So like the one reason when I had Stacey Hyland on, who used to work for Tony Robbins, Tony Robbins' favorite saying is, it's how resourceful you are. It's not about the resources, it's about how resourceful you are. So she knew, and I'm gonna let her finish, but Precious knew that she had the gift of pitching, so she used that to fund what she wanted to do. I'm gonna turn it back over now, but I just had to.
I appreciate it, girl. So, I kept winning competitions. I won the Black Enterprise Elevator Pitch Competition on May 16th, 2013. So, May 16th, 2019, I'll be speaking with Robin Roberts at the Meet the Media event at Microsoft next Thursday. So I'm very date specific because so many things have happened that I want to always have in my mind. Where were you in those moments?
Yeah.
And so I started the company Curvy Girls Lingerie, got on all of these television shows, and I will tell everybody, the truth is I was 327 pounds.
Okay.
I was a size 28. Nobody believed I would ever be on television because I was too fat, too loud, too this and too that. And I just knew that being different would work. I don't tell me where I got it from other than God, but I knew. Yeah. And so I wanted to make doubters into believers and my enemies my footstools, like God says, right? The good book says. Mm-hmm. And when I started winning competitions, people kept asking me to teach them. And I thought, this is natural to me. Can I teach? Mm-hmm. And so I took 10 people into my beta program, and they each won their competitions. And I knew I was a teacher internally. I knew that. I know I'm a great teacher.
Wait a minute, say that again. So
yes, I took 10 people, 10 men and women into my beta program for the art of the killer pitch, and they each won their competitions. So when I tell you I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. And to get the title, the killer
dancing in this place, like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not new to it. My cousin used to say that all the time, the former pimp, but whatever. And so my cousin has always believed in me. And when I tell you that my extra weight, all of that extraness that I had,
yeah,
actually set me apart and made me stand heads and tails above Ivy League graduates, cool tech companies. Like when I get on stage, it's not a game to me. This is a performance. And I want people to treat it like what it is. If you have an audience in front of you, don't play them shady. Give it your all. And so Robert Townsend, MC Lyte, and Earl Butch Hargraves came up with the title for Killer Pitchmaster after I won Black Enterprise. And so I just kept going with it. And it was like, Robert Townsend remembers me. Like, I would never forget that day. He kept saying something about them curvy girls. And I'm like, is that what you want? Like, so anyway, I won those competitions, got curvy girls off the ground, appeared on Shark Tank. It was the most amazing experience. A Black woman with a low-cut canary yellow peplum dress with her full-figure divas and plus-size fashionistas and my big old afro. We appeared on Shark Tank and killed the game. When Robert Herjavec said to me, "You are a master salesman, a master at this," I wanted to just sink into the ground because I was like, all those people who doubted me, and I hope not to get emotional, but all those people who doubted and said I would, even from my mom to people I went to school with, to all of these big time people that told me I would never be anything, I felt like Usher, watch this, and it's possible. I'm not going to say everyone can pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but I had been so far down on the totem pole that there could be no lower than where I was, right? So going through all of that, and then the crash happened, the final crash happened. After I came back from Shark Tank, and Shark Tank came, they did a home visit. So that's how you knew I was going to be on, because they did a home visit.
Right.
And my business partner and I got into such a nasty dispute over Shark Tank that I literally lost my mind. I was overworked. I was overstressed. I started drinking heavily, became a severe alcoholic. I didn't even eat. I just drank all day long. Giving speeches, like just craziness. And before it was all over, I lost my home, my jewelry, my degrees. I lost everything. I lost everything. I had no place to stay. I was homeless. And on January 22nd, 2017, I almost lost my life. My cousin saved my life within 2 minutes of me dying. 2 minutes, I almost died within 2 minutes. If he hadn't came home and saw the condition that I was in. And when I woke up in the hospital, people always ask me, what happened to you? And I used to be so ashamed to talk about it because it happened 2.5 years ago, but I'm not ashamed anymore.
Yeah. Because
I thought the worst thing was to lose it all.
Yes.
The worst thing is not to lose it all, it's to not understand the lesson in it. So I had to get away from my business partner. I had to get away from people who were just cling-ons and hang-ons. And I had to really realize who's in my corner and how come I never saw them before. You know why? Because I was being selfish.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I thought my achievements were what people liked about me, not knowing they liked me.
Yeah.
And being fake on stage and, trying to act like everything I do is perfect when inside I felt like a bum, a slug in a ditch. Yeah. It was horrible. Yeah. So going into a Christ-centered program, not a rehab, a program. I have not had a drink since January 22nd, 2017.
Wow. Yes.
I went to a Christ-centered program, the Bowery Mission Women's Center here in New York City. I graduated September 17th, 2018. And when people see me now, they're just always shocked, like, wait a minute, weren't you on your deathbed? Weren't you in psych wards, in and out of psych wards? Weren't you? Yeah, that was then and this is now.
That was then, this is now.
When I hear God speak to me, and I'm always up early in the morning, like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Because the early bird gets the worm. Yeah. When I think back to the time I thought losing it all made me worthless, it actually freed up the space to give it to God. And for him to tell me, you have the gift of speech. I have to remove all distractions for you to see who you really are. And so if you never have another achievement, which won't happen because you will, it will be on your own merit and not because of some trumped up thing you had to say about yourself. People are going to talk about you before you have to talk about yourself.
Absolutely. And I feel the same way. So I got to tell you this. I got to say this because you know, it's been about a year now since I reached back out to you, and
Yep.
I have to say I can see so much growth since then. And, you know, not to sound trite, but I'm so proud of you. Because I remember at that point, it might have been a little bit over a year, but like you were saying things and I was like, nah, like if you never say that, you don't have to apologize for that no more. And I'm so like listening to you right now. I'm like, woo, yes, like you're like setting me on fire, because it's, you know, it is what it is, but that all brought you to right here, right now.
Yeah.
Right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
And you're amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm so blessed to be sitting here talking to you in this moment, because, you know, it's real. Like, so, and for everybody, like, I'm having a conversation with Precious and I'm forgetting all about y'all right now. But listen, like, if there's something going on in your life and you're thinking you aren't going to make it, I want you to save this so that you can keep coming back to it. Because Precious has dropped so many, this happened, you know, childhood could have dropped her. You know what I mean? Like, there's all of these times where she could have just been those circumstances, instead of taking the lesson and bringing it forward with her right now and being who she is. So, Precious, I just had to say that because, like, you blessing me in this conversation.
Thank you. It's blessing me because it allows me to look back and have the perspective that I do today. And there's so many people out here walking wounded. If I don't tell my story, they will only believe what they read in magazines. Mm-hmm. They will only believe the great parts and not know that the only time the great parts have to happen is after severe loss, mm-hmm. after severe struggle, and after all of that. And so when I meet people, again, I was ashamed to say, you know, I was in a program, I was doing this or whatever. But when I left the program, I had to make a decision. I'm not going to begrudge and I'm not going to belittle the process I went through, because it did make me who I am today. Yeah. And if an organization can put me in a private home in Harlem or a private home on the Upper East Side and feed me organic food, and all they ask is that I change internally. Ooh. I don't have to work. I can clean, like that was beautiful, and it was Christ-centered. If I didn't know who Christ Jesus was, I would not be here today. So I want for everybody who's listening to know, you hear these times, people say all the time, oh, you know, it's always darkest before dawn, but it's true. There are some cliches that are truly true. I have faced death twice in my life. Mm-hmm. I have ruined relationships. I've made so many mistakes. And the people that I made mistakes with, my old clients, are now my new clients. Yes. Because they can see a change. Yes. They can see the change. They know they're not talking to a robot or someone who's putting on a facade. They're mm-hmm. like, dang, Precious be hitting me up early in the morning every day. Like, Precious be hitting me up like, yo. And I've had them hit me up and say, why do you check in on me? I was like, because I want to show that I care. Yeah. And that you're on my mind at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And the killer pitchmaster, all we do is slay all competition. And if you make people feel like you care, there's nothing that they cannot do, because they need that. Right. So many walking wounded and no one's telling them the good stuff. Yeah. The good, the stuff that's going to give you that, what Farrakhan says, the testicular fortitude to be able to do this.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? See, I would stay stuck in this all day, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut on this. I know, because I have her on here for 2 hours and everybody be like, well, that Tina was long. So
dropping the nuggets.
Oh, but she is. And so again, if you need to save this, because what I know is that everybody's fighting a battle.
Yes.
And it's okay. And I know in some circles, you have to keep that battle hidden because you got to walk this certain walk and talk this certain talk. But let me tell you, like, there are people who don't need that. And, and that's the thing that I think one of the things that with everything that Precious has gone through has brought her to a time such as this, because right now, all of those smoke and mirrors are starting to fall down for a lot of people. And I talk about the same thing, like, I know where I come from. I know what I bring to the table. And like when I wrote my last book, I couldn't release it, Precious. I couldn't release it at all because I knew I was only telling part of the story. So I might have been saying, I helped this person make $125,000 in this 30-day period. But there was something that was happening behind the scenes when that was going on. So I pulled the book down and I rewrote it and added every single one of the things that was going on behind the scenes. Like the time where I had to run into a crack house and pull my niece out. Like, and here's 150 people standing there. And I'm thinking, how in the world am I supposed to do this? But, with God, I can do anything. And so, like, we know that you're going through something as you're trying to build what it is you're trying to build. So find you somebody like Precious, who part of her program, like she said, is when she thinks about you, she's reaching out. She's making sure that you got what you need, not just what you purchased. So
do that.
I gotta call it like I see it. Gotta call it like I see it. Now, Precious, tell me a little bit about right now, because I said the topic was going to be booked and busy, and we haven't even gotten to that yet. So you've now, you're beyond the story. You are flying all over the place, speaking internationally.
Told you I'm a world-class master communicator, world-class. Just came back from Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, where I spoke at St. Mary's University at the Professional Development Summit. And I didn't know how Canadians would receive me, but they loved me. And they got what hashtag booked and busy was. It's not just a masterclass that's just about getting you paid speaking engagements, but who you become by getting those paid speaking engagements. Mm-hmm. How your mindset opens up and shifts from, I just got someplace to know they value my time to pay me, my flight, my hotel, and everything like that. Mm-hmm. I forgot what it was like to be a professional speaker in the time I was at the Bowery. But I walked out of there with so much confidence saying, it's going to happen again. Mm-hmm. So I'm speaking at Microsoft next week. After that, I'm speaking in Chelsea. I'm speaking at the Women of Color and Capital Conference. I'm speaking in the Bahamas in September. I have over 45 paid speaking engagements this year. And then getting those from my clients who did not believe what was possible, because they've always had to hear, oh, well, we can't afford to pay you and da-da-da-da, but you can't afford to pay for that event. So here's the thing. When it comes to being hashtag booked and busy, that's what we do, booked and busy. Creating your speaker platform and also establishing you as the authority in your industry. I'm the killer pitch master. I don't want anybody to ever call me a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, or transformational. I am the killer pitch master. I will help you slay all competition. Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean. When I go in for the kill, I go in for the kill. I'm not concerned about my competition like Beyonce. My only competition is myself. Amen. I don't care who gets on stage. Before me or after me, you will remember Precious Williams. Not only that, it's such a pleasure to work with clients who care enough to do the work. Like, Yanla talks about that, do the work. There is work to be done. Mm-hmm. There is a foundation to be set before you get out there and make a fool of yourself. Mm-hmm. Just pivoting to speaking and really building up people's speaking customers, clients, speakers, platforms. It is a joy to watch them soar beyond the heights they ever thought they could, that they could write their own paychecks. Yes. Are you serious? The first time I taught hashtag brand you, I charge $147 for a 6-week program. I know you shocked. You probably like, clutch the imaginary pearls. And then
like I was trying to put on a face.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay because I was doing a beta thing just to test it out. And we had our last class yesterday and we all were crying from the growth.
Wow.
Not only that, I started charging $1,200. And do you know what happened when I went from $147 to $1,200? The right people valued me more.
Go into that. Don't even brush over that one. I'm not even gonna let her brush over that. Did you guys hear that? A lot of times you're trying to scrape for the pennies. And when you're scraping for the pennies, the people who are scraping for pennies are the ones who show up. When you start to command the dollars, and you're going to get the people who don't mind allowing that money, who value that amount of money. That's the value they're placing on themselves. It's a different mindset. Precious, tell it.
It is such a different mindset. It's such a different mindset. And I had this coach constantly tell me that. She's like, you're not charging enough for your services. I was like, but they fight me on price. She said they only fight you on price because that's the only thing they know. People who are truly investing in themselves, your prices are nothing. Who else has been on Shark Tank successfully? Who else has been on a lot of different business shows? Who else has got a call from Fox Business News to teach the art of the killer pitch?
Yeah.
What are you talking about charging $147? I don't care if it was a beta. So when I went from that, the right people showed up and did not even stress me. We always talk about the low-hanging fruit, and that's cute in the beginning. That's what I said, that's cute. That's cute. But now it's time, if you have an expertise, to be paid what you're worth, and you have to decide what you're worth, not them.
Yeah. Yeah, and let me help you out.
And when I started charging $1,200, so now we got to go up. Now we got to go up to $1,997.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on, because you was broken up a little bit. But hold on. I'm going to give you guys this little bit because this is really on what she just said. Precious, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I was just making sure because you looked like you had frozen. Anyway, I'm going to tell on myself. I was the person who wanted to help everybody. And I can tell you, the people who paid me $1,000 were the people who took the most of my time, and the people who paid me $30,000, I hardly ever heard from.
Word.
Recommended me to 10 other people. Like, it's just like I have to say, for me, I was playing all of those tricky games in my head of, I don't want to leave this person behind, or wait a minute, I don't want people to think that I think I'm too good to work with them. Like, I would come up with all kinds of reasons. I would do that no more. So, but I think people need to know that, because especially like Precious just talked a little bit about her background. You guys have heard me talk about my background in previous episodes. If you haven't, go back and listen to some of them. But like, when you can go from a room from people who are on welfare to billionaires, like nobody is kind of teaching you the differences. It's something you have to learn. And so, like, when you start up leveling, and like sometimes even when you're trying to sell somebody who has the high net worth, and you tell them a price like $147, they're like,
oh, they will laugh in your face.
What do I want that program for? Because you didn't even present your expertise right. So
that don't impress me much.
So I just needed to throw that in, because I am reformed, but I'm one of the people in the story in which you were just talking about. So, and I think it's important for people to know that when you're going from one level to the other, you got to put boundaries around. And I don't even like the word boundaries, so that ain't even, it's funny that I'm even saying it, but like, you got to put boundaries around your work. Your work has to have a worth. And if you don't remember that, then other people will keep reminding you, because they'll keep wasting your time.
It's so important, and Tina, you've been talking about this, for a while. And it's not just a money grab, because I think that's what people have this in their mind. Oh, it's just a money grab. To the wrong audience, it's a money grab. To the right audience, can I hear more?
Right.
How do you take payment?
Mm.
And you're sitting there like, it wasn't a hard sell. You know how with some people on the low end of the totem pole, it's a hard sell. It's got to be a payment plan for a $500 program. No disrespect, but to people who are paying the $10,000, you're right. They don't constantly call you. They don't. They recognize that they got work to do, and they're gonna work that work, and they're willing to invest in themselves. And I will say that to anybody listening: if you don't invest in yourself at a higher dollar amount, how do you expect anybody else to? Because they can see right through you.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're watching this and you're not able to invest at a high dollar amount yet, then what I'm going to suggest you do is get around people who want to sow seeds into you.
Yes.
That, because we actually are doing that now. Like, I've put, like, anything that I'm doing done for you now with, it starts at 30 grand a year. And so I can't put you in that program and then you work me so hard that I can't do the job for the other people. So we're very selective on who goes into that program and everything. But at the same time, I haven't forgot where I came from. And
Word.
Because I haven't forgot where I came from, I help bring people, and I bring people like Precious and put you in the room with them. And I bring people like, I know a lot of people who were the first at something. And in 2019, to know somebody who was the first at something is a big deal, right? So like, to bring you in the rooms with them. And in one of these episodes, I talk about one of the first Black psychiatrists, and she lives in New York City. And when I sat at her feet, learned about art, and wasn't afraid to say, I don't know these things. Like, I wasn't ashamed to let her know exactly who and where I came from. And she was like, and at first it was almost like I thought I was getting on her nerves, but because I came so open, so vulnerable, so everything, she was willing to share with me and help me learn to navigate a certain part of the world that I did not understand.
Mm-hmm.
I think for people who aren't ready to do $10,000 programs, $30,000 programs, go find you people, not who are going to try to do something for you and try to sell you into something that you're not ready. Go find people who want to uplift your mind, because there's things that you haven't been exposed to. And once you get the conviction and you get the grit, like Precious has grit, the grit of being able to, yep, I'm a fall, but damn, I'm getting back up. Like, when you have that grit, it really changes the game. So yeah, like Precious, like, you just like, bam, bam, hit it, hit this, hit that. Like, I mean,
I am the killer pitchmaster, right? I am the killer pitchmaster. We're not new to
the killer pitchmaster.
We're true to this.
Yeah.
We are true to this. And I think that they, and also to go along with what you just said, it's okay to take incremental steps. Mm-hmm. If you're not at the $10,000 level, that doesn't mean you still can't work your way up to that.
Yeah.
When the time is right, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't start off getting $10,000 programs. Maybe I started off with a $500 program and kept increasing because I could see the value in the results that I was getting.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that's how I can say I made a movie with Sir Richard Branson and his business coach and Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. I lived in Santa Monica, California, and filmed in a glass mansion in Malibu, and filmed in Milan, Italy. What little Black girl from the hood had that experience?
Wow.
And I did that.
Yes.
Right before Shark Tank. So please tell me there are hashtag, what Usher say, no limits, baby. There are no limits. We don't live in, this is not the civil rights era where, we have real first world problems. So when you get in your mind that you are unstoppable, The people that try to stop you don't know your secret weapon.
No.
You can never stop a man who will not quit. You can't.
Can't.
Keep going. I got the Shark Tank without having that audition where I'm standing in line with hundreds of people. I never did that because I wanted them to come to me. Black girl, St. Louis. That's what we do. I'm from the Show Me State. You got to show me.
Gotta show me. Gotta show me. You know, okay. So I like to do two things in this show because, again, I'm saying, you know, Precious, we could do this all day, and I'm probably
going to all day, all
I'm
night.
gonna have to have you come back because we're gonna be like, there's just so much we could do with this. But
right.
First question I want you to answer is, I'd like for people to have at least one tangible thing that they can walk away with and go implement today. What would you say for those speakers out there who are not booked and busy? What's the first thing that they should do?
The first thing that they should do, get me, of course, but the first thing that they should do is truly become a master storyteller. And when I say a master storyteller, I mean not the childhood traumas and all of that kind of stuff, but what stories can you come up with that sets you apart from everyone else and what they're doing? It's like what Michelle Obama says, when they zig, we zag, when they go low, we go high. You have to figure out what makes you different. Yeah. If your only thing is a sob story with no purpose, you're wasting your time as a speaker. Yeah. So you have to become a master storyteller and have at least 4 or 5 stories on deck to illustrate your points and to get your audience to relate better to you. Mm-hmm. And if I could throw in a second thing to make you attractive to conference organizers and event planners, everyone knows you need a speaker one sheet, but your speaker one sheet has to truly answer why. If they never talk to you and just book you because of me, or they book you because of your speaker one sheet, what story are you putting in there that helps you stand apart from everyone else? If all you can do is say motivational, inspirational, transformational,
those words
you lost. Mm-hmm. What tangible results can you bring the audience? What key takeaways can they get from? What actionable items can they get from your signature talks? Don't just put your signature talks without key takeaways. Always know what your description of your signature talk is, the key takeaways, what audience is it for, and what is the result that the organization will get from having someone like you. Do you bring bodies to the table? Do you have a social media game that's fierce? Can you sell out the room? What are you talking about?
And see, and like, that's what I'm doing now, right? Like, you know, cause you already know this. I've been in the house pretty much like a hermit for like almost 18 months now. And so now that I'm ready to get back on the speaker circuit and tell everybody why I get paid to be me, and you should too, I literally, you know, am telling them I can sell out your rooms. If you've been using Groupon or whatever, my presence, my 70 countries. So like, and I'm saying this not to impress anybody. I'm saying this to back up what Precious is saying. I haven't been out there, you know what I mean? I was taking it easy. Some automated videos might hit my social media or whatever, but like, I haven't been in and doing what I do. And so now that I'm back in doing what I do, as I'm approaching people, I'm going, hey, listen, I don't know if you've had to use Groupon in the past to get your event sold, if you're doing half of the tickets for free, this, that, and the other, but if you bring me in, if people come with me, I sell it out. So like that's the easiest way to get on a stage right now, if you can back it up. Because most people, you know, Precious knows this, most event planners, and I'm not talking about corporate events. I'm talking about, I'm talking about speakers and stuff and coaches and stuff who are putting on their own events. Most of the time, at the end of the day, half the people in the room haven't paid. And so a lot of times the rooms are not profitable.
Nope.
Now, I've been on a lot of big stages, and I've had a lot of big people tell me this. So I knew it firsthand. And so the bottom line is, I can show you ways. you know, if we got at least 6 weeks to your event, we can sell it out. Everybody pays for a ticket. And but like, so she gave you 2 actionable items. So you guys know my favorite words is libraries don't make money. So you can be a repository of information, but at the end of the day, if you are not applying it, it is not doing anything for your life. So make sure, like, even if you are a motivational speaker, we're not saying there's anything wrong with that, but the word motivation does not separate you from anything. The word transformation. So don't think the word is going to get somebody to be attracted to you. Everything that Precious just said, like, she's also giving a link so that you guys can go into, and it's going to be down in the comments. So make sure you go and get what she has to offer, because she's going to help you stand out from the crowd. You know, every time you go for a speaking engagement, there's probably 100 people or more that is applying for that speaking engagement. So if you're just using the same words that you saw somebody else use, you will not stand out. So I just needed to re-emphasize that point right there. Yeah. Now, Precious, one more question. I feel like you already answered this though, but I still want to ask it. Tell me something that you felt at the time was a failure, but it was setting you up for exactly who you are and what you're doing right now.
I know I've given you several stories since we've been sitting here, and I will go back to the Georgetown story. Getting kicked out of Georgetown University, Los Angeles, on March 15, 2002. I thought my life was truly over. I didn't know how to articulate it to my line sisters, to my Spelman, other Spelman women, my family. And so I just kind of went into a deep, dark place where I didn't shower. I just looked like hell. And I was so deeply ashamed and so guilt-ridden and feeling like no one's ever messed up as much as I have in this life. And it wasn't until I graduated from Rutgers on May 25th, 2007, that it came off of my back. Because number one, I did graduate. Number two, I walked into graduation already knowing I passed the bar. Passed it. So I knew I was going to be working as an attorney. And number three, being an attorney was a means to an end of walking me into professional speaking as a true career and not just a side hustle. And I thank God that Georgetown did what it did. I thank God. Because had everything happened perfectly and just right, the person standing before you would be a fraud. I'd be a fraud because everything would have went right and I never would have known what failure actually felt like. So when I go to DC, and I was just in DC for the Blue Experience with Sharon Washington, and you know, Georgetown was down the street, and all I could do was smile. All I could do was smile. Like, y'all thought y'all served us out of last to me. Y'all said that Black people like to come into this school and they can't make it and all this kind of stuff. Well, you know what? I didn't make it here, but I made it in New York. I made it in California. I made it in Milan. Tell me what your graduates do. Oh, that's right. I don't truly care.
Right. And so just like you said earlier in this conversation, you know, being in that league of your own, not really thinking about competition because you're mastering self. That's a whole different perspective, and that's a whole different lane. Like, that is, you know, knowing that when you send in your stuff, it's going to make it to the top of the pile, regardless of whether they pick you or not. It's going to make it to the top of the pile. And that's not being pompous. That's just because we decided to master self instead of mastering the versions of that everybody had for us, or mastering the versions of what other people wanted to say as far as we're concerned. So Precious, my God. Oh, my God. Like,
it's an amazing
one of those conversations.
My purpose.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So everybody, again, down in the link below, so that you can get to Precious, booked and busy.
Hashtag booked and busy.
Booked and busy. If you go look in her news feed and her social media, you can look back and see the traveling, right? You can look back at the live streams, and she's even dropping nuggets there. But for the serious people who want to be booked and busy, who want to get paid, who want somebody to pay for your hotel, for somebody who's going to pay for your transportation. You know, like I'm going to tell you, even sometimes when I'm going to speak, I'm not being compensated up front. Now, why would I tell you guys that? Because I don't care. There's no shame in my game. But you know how Beyonce wrote in that in that song where she was like, give me my check, put some respect on my check, pay me in equity. Like, sometimes I know they might want to write a certain amount, but then if I'm getting ready to book the whole thing and I know that this profit's going to climb, I might go, pay me in equity. So I'm just letting you know that first. But that there's a level, like you don't want to jump out of the gate doing that. But you do want to make sure that you understand your worth. And if you know, how many did you say? 45?
Yep, over 45.
45 on the books, right? 45 paid speaking engagements on the books. If the people you're following don't have 45 paid speaking engagements on the book, it tell you, if you're serious, who you need to be talking to. I don't have 45 paid speaking engagements on the books. I might be calling Precious my darn self. But at the end of the day, be serious about it. You laughing, I'm serious. I mean, because I know there's a grind to it, and I know that you guys are doing that grind because you're not afraid of the work. Like you said, Iyanla says, do the work. Like, you guys aren't afraid of the work, so I know that you're doing it. But at the end of the day, man, Precious laid down some jewels today.
Thank you.
Precious, anything else you want to say?
This has been awesome, Tina.
Anything else you want to say before we end? Like, is there another nugget you want to drop?
Fortune favors the bold. And I know that sounds very simple, but if you boldly go out there, if you add drama, passion, energy, and intensity, you are truly unstoppable. You get to the point where if people are talking about you, it's a good thing. I got people talking about me all day, every day, some good, some bad, but you're still talking about me. You're still watching my feed on Facebook and LinkedIn. You're still checking me out. You know what time it is. So you want to build noise and buzz behind your brand. And you want to make sure that, again, it's all about standing out and being different. But fortune truly does favor the bold. Any of these big time people you see, they had to boldly do it. Especially if they're people of color. They had to boldly do some things. So if you are ready to be bold, you're ready to stand out, you're ready to be hashtag booked and busy in 2019, I suggest we have a conversation or you check out hashtag booked and busy.
I'm not going to say anything because we're going to leave it right on that.
Bam!
Boom! And I love the way she leaned in when she said it. I'm going to leave it right there. Precious, thank you so much. Thank you for coming. You really shared a lot today. Again, I'm going to probably have to have you back again because we could have went on and on forever.
We could.
But you did everything and more. It was everything and more than I could.
My job is to make your job easier. That's how I walk into every situation when it comes to speaking, is to make your job much easier.
Thank you. Everybody, again, check out that link, and I'll see you in the next episode of Amplify Your Expertise. Bye.
Bye.